12 moments when hip-hop's biggest names took what wasn't theirs. You know the songs: Biz Markie, Diddy, Vanilla Ice. Songs that dominated the charts, moved the culture forward, changed everything. But here's what the industry didn't tell you. Every single one of these tracks was built on someone else's work. Without permission, without credit. And when the lawyers got involved, some artists lost millions. Others lost their entire careers. This isn't about sampling culture or paying homage. This is about the times hip-hop crossed the line from inspiration to theft, and what happened when the bills came due. Number 12, 3-6 Mafia versus the Underground. Memphis legends 3-6 Mafia spent decades building their sound. Dark, gritty, horror-themed production that defined underground southern rap in the 90s. DJ Paul and Juicy J crafted a signature style that became its own subgenre. And then a new generation started lifting it. Track after track, beat after beat, without asking, without clearing, without paying. By 2020, the duo Suicide Boy had built a massive cult following. Millions of streams, sold out shows, a dedicated fan base. But according to 3-6 Mafia's lawsuit, at least 36 of those songs weren't original. They were allegedly sampled straight from 3-6's catalog. Even the titles barely changed. DJ Paul reached out, tried to resolve it. We talked like 2 years ago, he said. They was like, we gonna take care of it, but I never heard back. Suicide Boys claimed Juicy J verbally cleared everything in exchange for production work. 3-6 Mafia said no such deal existed. The lawsuit demanded $6.4 million. And here's what's wild about this. 3-6 Mafia themselves came up in an era when sample clearance was loose, when underground Memphis tapes circulated with beats pulled from everywhere. But by the time their sound became profitable for someone else, the rules had changed. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. In 2025, they settled. Terms undisclosed. But the message was clear. You can't build your career on someone else's legacy. Not anymore. Number 11, Kanye West and the Hungarian rock star. Kanye drops Yeezus. The album's confrontational, abrasive. New Slaves becomes one of its most talked about tracks. Frank Ocean on the outro. Kanye rapping about private prisons and corporate America. The production is stark, minimalist, and built around a haunting vocal sample that gives the whole track its emotional weight. That sample came from a 1969 Hungarian rock song called Yöngi Hajdu Lani, which translates to pearls in her hair. My mama was raised in the era when clean water was only... Written and performed by Gabor Presser when he was in the band Omega. In Hungary and across Eastern Europe, that song is iconic. One of the most beloved pop songs ever released in that region. Generations grew up with it. Presser described it as having deep cultural significance. I'm going Bobby Boucher. I know that pussy ain't free. You niggas pussy. And when he heard his work embedded in New Slaves, he wasn't honored. He was furious because Kanye never asked, never cleared it, never reached out. 1/3 of New Slaves was Presser's composition, used without permission, without credit, without compensation. Presser sued for $2.5 million. He argued that Kanye had knowingly and willfully taken his work. And here's the thing, Kanye's team had the resources, the budget, the infrastructure to clear that sample properly, but they didn't. Whether it was arrogance, oversight, or assumption that a Hungarian rock song wouldn't cause problems, the result was the same: a lawsuit, negative press, and a settlement that likely cost more than clearance would have. If you've ever wondered why major label releases take months to clear samples, this is why. Because when you skip the process, the bill comes later, and it's always higher than you think. If you made it this far, you already know. You're not here for the algorithm highlights and TikTok clips. You're here for the real story. Here's what's crazy. 96% of people watching right now won't subscribe. They'll get the knowledge, then YouTube will bury us in their feed forever, which means when we drop that upcoming video, you'll never see it. Look, hip-hop radio ain't for everybody, but if you're still here, it's definitely for you. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter. Real recognize real. Number 10, Vanilla Ice and the bass line that changed everything. Ice Ice Baby explode. MTV has it on rotation. Radio can't stop playing it. Vanilla Ice becomes the first hip-hop artist to top the Billboard Hot 100. The song's hook is infectious. But that bass line, that unmistakable bass line. If you were alive in the 80s, you knew exactly where it came from. Queen and David Bowie, Under Pressure, 1981. One of the most iconic collaborations in rock history. And Vanilla Ice lifted the instrumental backbone of his entire track from it. The bass line, the rhythm, the structure, all of it. At first, Vanilla Ice tried to claim they were different. In interviews, he'd demonstrate. Theirs goes ding, 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 da-da, ding, ding. Mine goes ding, 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 da-da, ding, ding, ting. He was serious. He genuinely tried to argue that adding one extra note made it original. The industry wasn't buying it. Queen and Bowie's camps weren't buying it. And when the legal pressure mounted, Vanilla Ice had no choice but to settle. Queen and Bowie received full songwriting credit, royalties, everything. Ice Ice Baby went on to sell millions, but a significant chunk of those earnings went straight to the original artist, and Vanilla Ice's credibility never recovered. The scandal turned into a pop culture punchline. A cautionary tale about what happens when you take someone's work and think nobody's gonna notice. Here's what makes this case interesting. Hip-hop had been sampling for years, but this was mainstream. This was the pop chart. Slammed on the gas, bumper to bumper, the avenue's packed. I'm trying to get away before the jacket. This was white America's introduction to sampling culture. And the first major lesson, you can't just take, you have to ask, you have to clear, or you're gonna pay later. And that later might cost you your whole career. Something grabs a hold of me tightly, flow like a harpoon daily and nightly. Number 9, Diddy's tribute that cost him everything. I know you're still living your life after death. March 1997. The Notorious B.I.G. is gone. Shot in Los Angeles. Hip-hop is in mourning. And Diddy, still going by Puff Daddy, decides to create a tribute. I'll Be Missing You. Faith Evans on the hook. 112 on the harmonies. The song is emotional, heartfelt, a genuine expression of grief. But the instrumental is built entirely on the Police's Every Breath You Take, that 1983 Sting Pen mega hit, one of the biggest songs of the decade. And Diddy didn't ask permission, he sampled it. Seems like yesterday we used to rock the show. I laced the track, you locked the flow. Built the whole track around it, released it, and watched it dominate. 11 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. 2 Grammys, Diamond certification. Over 10 million copies sold in the U.S. alone. Sting sued, and when the settlement came down, it wasn't just a one-time payment. Us while we pray for you. Every day we pray for you. Sting received 100% of the song's publishing royalties, not 50%, not 75%, all of it. Every single penny generated by the composition goes to Sting. Forever, there's conflicting stories about how much Sting makes per day. Some reports said $2,000. Diddy once tweeted it was $5,000. Then he claimed he was joking. But the truth is this, Sting makes more from I'll Be Missing You than Diddy does. Possibly more than Sting made from the original Every Breath You Take. And here's the gut punch. If Diddy had just asked first, he could have negotiated, could have worked out a reasonable split, could have kept some of the publishing, but he didn't. And now, decades later, one of the biggest songs of his career belongs to someone else. That's not just expensive, that's legacy altering. Because every time that song gets played, Diddy's reminded, you took what wasn't yours and you're still paying for it.
So far from hanging on the block for dough. Notorious, they got to know that life ain't...
Number 7, MC Hammer and the funk that wasn't his.
They know. You talk about the Hammer, you're talking about a show that's hot.
You Can't Touch This drops, and within weeks, MC Hammer is everywhere. The baggy pants, the choreography, the energy. The song becomes a cultural phenomenon. 2 Grammys. First rap song ever nominated for Record of the Year. The album goes diamond, over 10 million copies sold. But if you were alive in the 80s, you recognize that beat immediately. Rick James, Super Freak, 1981. That iconic bass line, that funky guitar riff, the backbone of the entire track.
Fresh new kicks and bands, you got it like that, now you know you wanna dance, so move.
MC Hammer didn't just sample it. He built his whole song on top of it. And initially, he didn't credit Rick James at all. James noticed, and he wasn't having it. He sued for copyright infringement. And when the settlement came, Hammer had to give James co-composer credit, plus a massive share of the royalties.
You probably are dead, so wave your hands in the air, bust a few moves, run your fingers through your hair.
Some estimates say James made more money from You Can't Touch This than he did from the original Super Freak. James later said, they just take your shit, put it on a record, and deal with the legality later. And he was right. That was the move. Sample first, clear later. Hope the artist is cool with it or can't afford to sue, but Rick James could afford it, and he wasn't cool with it. The irony is this: You Can't Touch This helped introduce hip-hop to mainstream America. It brought the culture to living rooms across the country, but it also reinforced a dangerous precedent. That you could take someone's work, make millions, and only pay when you got caught. Hammer's career never fully recovered from the financial fallout of his success. And while You Can't Touch This remains a classic, it's also a reminder. Funk legends built the foundation, and when hip-hop used that foundation without permission, the funk legends made sure they got paid.
Out of your seat and get a fire girl and catch this beat while it's rolling. Hold on.
Number 6, Pharrell, Robin Thicke, and the Vibe That Cost Millions. Blurred Lines becomes the song of the summer. Robin Thicke, Pharrell Williams, T.I. on the verse. The track is inescapable. Number 1 for 12 weeks. Over 16 million in sales and streaming revenue. The music video racks up hundreds of millions of views. But Marvin Gaye's family saw something else. They heard Got to Give It Up, that 1977 funk classic. And they weren't just hearing a sample, they were hearing the entire vibe. The groove, the feel, the aesthetic. Thicke himself admitted in interviews that he wanted to create something that sounded like Marvin Gaye, that had the same funky feel. The Gaye family sued. And this is where it gets complicated, because Blurred Lines didn't sample Got to Give It Up. Not directly. No exact notes were copied. No lyrics were lifted. This was about the composition's feel, the mood, the arrangement. The jury sided with the Gaye estate. $7.3 million. The amount was later reduced to $5.3. Then appeals happened. And in the end, the final judgment came to around $5 million. Plus, the Gaye family gets 50% of future songwriter and publishing revenue from Blurred Lines. Pharrell and Thicke appealed, called it a miscarriage of justice, said it would stifle creativity, that you can't copyright a vibe. But the court disagreed, and the verdict sent shockwaves through the music industry. Because if you could lose millions for making something that just sounds like another song, where's the line? Here's what makes this case different from the others. This wasn't even sampling. This was inspiration gone too far. And the precedent it set is still being debated. But one thing's clear. Marvin Gaye's family won. And Blurred Lines, one of the biggest hits of the 2010s, now belongs partly to a man who died in 1984. Number 5, De La Soul and the sample that changed hip-hop forever. De La Soul drops 3 feet high and rising. The album is revolutionary, playful, eclectic, sample heavy in a way that feels like art. They're pulling from jazz, rock, funk, soul, cartoons, game shows, everything, and most of it, they're clearing.
Midi. Il est midi. Il est midi.
Getting permission, doing it right, except for one sample, The Turtles, You Showed Me. That 1969 hit, De La Soul used the first 4 bars on Transmitting Live from Mars, and they didn't clear it. Maybe it fell through the cracks. Maybe they thought it was too small to matter.
C'est l'heure de déjeuner.
Qu'est-ce qu'il y a à manger?
Des saucisses. Sans doute.
But the Turtles members, Howard Kalin and Mark Volman, didn't see it that way. They sued for $2.5 million, and Kalin went on record with one of the harshest takes on sampling ever.
À midi. À midi. À midi.
Sampling is just a longer term for theft. Anybody who can honestly say that sampling is some sort of creativity has never done anything creative. The case settled out of court for $1.7 million, and that settlement changed everything.
Quelle heure est-il? Quelle heure?
Because up until that point, hip-hop operated on a gray area. Sample culture was wild. You pulled from records, chopped them up, made something new. But after De La Soul lost, the industry got cautious. Labels started demanding full clearance on everything. Sample budgets exploded, and the sound of hip-hop started to shift. Albums like Paul's Boutique by the Beastie Boys, released the same year, became impossible to make. Too many samples, too much clearance costs.
Quelle heure est-il?
De La Soul themselves struggled for decades to get their catalog on streaming services because of sample clearance issues from that era. And here's the painful part. De La Soul wasn't trying to steal, they were trying to create.
De déjeuner. De déjeuner.
But in the eyes of the law and in the eyes of the Turtles, it didn't matter. You used someone's work without permission, you paid. And hip-hop has been paying ever since.
Midi. Il est midi. Il est midi.
Number 4, N.W.A. and the 2-second sample that redefined the law. N.W.A. drops 100 Miles and Running. The EP is aggressive, defiant. Released after Ice Cube left the group, it's N.W.A. proving they can still dominate without him. The title track becomes a hip-hop anthem. Raw, unapologetic, and built on a sample so short most people didn't even catch it. 2 seconds, that's it. A guitar chord from Funkadelic's Get Off Your Ass and Jam. N.W.A. lowered the pitch, looped it 5 times throughout the track. And didn't pay Bridgeport Music, who owned the rights, a single dollar. Bridgeport sued. And here's where it gets interesting. The case went to a federal judge first, and that judge ruled in N.W.A.'s favor. Said the sample was too small to matter. That you can't claim copyright infringement over 2 seconds of audio. It was a win for hip-hop, a recognition that sampling, when minimal, fell under creative use. But Bridgeport appealed, and the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit reversed the decision. Their ruling was brutal. Get a license or do not sample. We do not see this as stifling creativity in any significant way. That decision became precedent, and it fundamentally changed the game. Because now it didn't matter if you sampled 2 seconds or 2 minutes. Any unauthorized use of a copyrighted recording, no matter how small, was infringement, period. Producers started paying for clearance on everything, even the smallest snippet, even sounds buried so deep in the mix that nobody would notice, because the law said it didn't matter. You sample, you pay, and if you don't, you get sued. N.W.A.'s case didn't bankrupt them, but it bankrupted a certain approach to hip-hop production. The Wild West era of sampling was over, and every producer working today operates under rules that were written because of this lawsuit. Number 3, Biz Markie and the judge who quoted the Bible.
My secrets was old and my coat was fake, but my determination kept me warm.
Biz Markie releases I Need a Haircut. The album's got a track called Alone Again. It's Biz doing his thing, heartfelt, goofy, singing off key for comedic effect. And it's built on a 20-second sample of Gilbert O'Sullivan's 1972 hit Alone Again, naturally.
Now my eye
nothing to worry wherever I wanna go.
Here's the thing. Biz's team knew they needed clearance. They wrote to O'Sullivan's camp, sent a copy of the tape, asked for permission, and O'Sullivan said no. He didn't like rap, didn't want his song associated with it. So Biz's label released it anyway.
I was on my way to 125th. I saw this death bench, yo, that's my...
When O'Sullivan found out, he didn't just sue. He went nuclear, demanded the album be pulled from shelves, wanted Biz prosecuted. And when the case went to court, Judge Kevin Thomas Duffy opened his written decision with words from the Bible, "Thou shalt not steal."
Get into a limo, I had to walk home. I wrote it in my memo. I'm alone.
Duffy called Biz and his label's actions a callous disregard for the law and the rights of others. He ordered them to pay $250,000 in damages, barred Warner Brothers from selling any more copies of the song. And here's the part that terrified the industry.
But I had to swallow my pride, cause usually I wouldn't ask for a lift, but it was...
He referred the case to the United States Attorney for possible criminal prosecution. Criminal. As in, Biz Markie could have faced jail time for sampling a song. That referral didn't result in charges, but the message was sent. Sampling without clearance wasn't just a civil issue anymore. It could be criminal.
People come to me for my autograph. After the front was over, it was time.
The case destroyed Biz's momentum. I Need a Haircut was pulled. His career stalled, and hip-hop production changed overnight. Every major label started demanding full clearance on everything. Sample budgets exploded.
Man Cliff, as I flagged him down, he pulled to the side. At this moment,
and the sound of the music shifted because producers couldn't afford to clear everything they wanted to use. Biz Markie's case is the reason you see all samples cleared stickers on albums today. It's the reason clearing a sample now costs tens of thousands of dollars.
Cause I was rocking the ship. When we was done, I started to laugh.
It's the case that ended the golden age of sampling. And it all started because an artist asked for permission, got told no, and did it anyway.
They all grabbed their pops and went their separate ways. Swan said, "I see you later, Biz."
Number 2, the Notorious B.I.G. and the one he got away with. March 1997. Just weeks after Biggie's death, Hypnotize drops, the lead single from Life After Death, and it's massive. Number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, certified platinum, a song that defined late 90s hip-hop. The beat is hypnotic, funky, built around a bass line that sounds like it was made for Biggie's flow. That bass line came from Herb Alpert's 1979 Grammy-winning instrumental Rise, a jazz funk classic that topped the charts. And here's where this story breaks from every other entry on this list. Biggie's team asked. They sent a cassette to Randy Alpert, who controlled the publishing. Randy listened, heard Biggie's voice, and cleared it. Randy later said Hypnotize was the first sample request he'd ever approved.
Go 160 swiftly. Run.
Before that, he turned down Ice Cube, Eazy-E, Warren G, tons of artists. But when he heard Biggie, he knew it was special. We had a classic home run, he said, and he was right. The song sold over 18 million units through singles, albums, compilations, soundtracks.
And so I just speak my peace, keep my peace, Cubans with the Jesus peace.
It currently streams 35 to 45 million times per quarter worldwide. So why is this on a list about theft? Because it almost wasn't cleared. And if Biggie's team had done what so many others did, sample first, deal with it later, this would have been one of the most expensive lawsuits in hip-hop history. The song made millions, became a cultural touchstone, and all of it would have gone to litigation. But they didn't. They asked. They cleared. They did it right. And because of that, Hypnotize remains a perfect collaboration. Herb Alpert's funky instrumental, Biggie's iconic delivery, both artists getting paid, both legacies intact. It's the exception that proves the rule, because when you look at every other case on this list, you see what happens when you don't ask. You lose millions, you lose control, you lose your career. Biggie's team understood that, and Hypnotize is proof that sampling can work. When you respect the process, when you respect the law, when you respect the artist whose work you're building on. Number 1, Diddy, Sting, and the Daily Reminder. We already talked about this case at number 9, but it belongs at number 1 because it's not just the most expensive, it's the most permanent. Every other settlement on this list was a one-time payment, a lump sum, a closed chapter, but Diddy's deal with Sting isn't closed. It never closes. It's a daily reminder of what happens when you take without asking. 100% of the publishing royalties from I'll Be Missing. You go to Sting. Forever, every stream, every radio play, every sync license, every cover, all of it. Diddy gets performance royalties as the artist, but the composition, that belongs to Sting, and it generates money every single day. But the exact number doesn't matter. What matters is this: Sting makes more from Diddy's biggest hit than Diddy does, and he didn't write a single word of it. Think about that. I'll Be Missing You is one of the most successful rap songs of all time. 11 weeks at number 1, diamond certification, 2 Grammys, a song that defined grief in hip-hop, a tribute to Biggie that became bigger than anyone expected, and Diddy can't fully claim it. Because he sampled without permission. He built an empire on someone else's foundation, and he's still paying rent every single day. This is the ultimate cautionary tale. Not because the amount is the highest, but because it never ends. De La Soul paid once. Biz Markie paid once. Vanilla Ice paid once. Diddy will pay for the rest of his life, and when he's gone, his estate will keep paying, because that's what the settlement says. If you've ever wondered why clearance costs so much, this is why. Because the alternative is this: permanent loss, perpetual payment. A hit song you can't fully own,